Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our board meeting. Mr. Weber, if we could have a roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Present.
Mr. Smith?
Present.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Dr. Hall.
Superintendent Mr. Tucker, Treasurer Mr. Weber, Board President Mr. Williams, and distinguished board members. Tonight we have a student from Stephen Dohanis Elementary School who will lead a Pledge of Allegiance. Leonette Marrero and Yasis Wells, I knew I missed. Yasis Well will lead a pledge tonight, and David Merchant will speak on leadership. Ms. Marrero is a kindergarten student and is the daughter of Wilbert and Jessica Marrero. Yasis Maria Mari is a kindergarten student and is the daughter of Anna Polk. David Alexander Merchant, who is a sixth grade student and a son of Kenneth and Pamela Merchant. David plays the violin and cornet and also plays the drum at church. He's a Boy Scout and would like to be someday a professional drummer. I believe Mr. Adam Brzezowski, his principal, is here to support a student. Right now, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ladies, come up.
Leonette, Jesus, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Thank you, ladies. Excellent job. And next we have Mr. Merchant who will speak on leadership. Mr. Merchant.
Good evening to the school board, teachers, my family, and all that are gathered here today. I have been asked to speak on what leadership means to me. I looked up the word leadership, and it defines it as having the power or ability to lead or direct other people. It also says to be in the act of leading, guiding, or giving directions. I found a scripture in the Bible that says, "Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in conduct, in love, in faith, and in purity." To me, this means I can be young, but still can set an example for people young and old. With my family, I can be an example. I can be a leader by obeying my mother and father. Many times I have seen children, young and old, talking back and disrespecting their parents. But if I am a leader, people will be able to see me obeying my parents, and soon they will follow in my footsteps. Next, there are qualities you must have in being a leader. You must have patience with others, meaning people may not learn or work as fast as we do, but we must be patient and work at the pace that is needed to lead others to get the job done. Another quality you must have is endurance. You must continue to press on forward even though there are obstacles in your way that will make you slow down or not succeed in what you are doing. A leader must also be a good listener because no one has all the right answers. You can still ask questions and receive advice from other people. A leader is also a worker. My pastor is the head of our church, but you may often find him working at any job that may keep the church still standing. You may be a leader, but you still have to work to succeed in what you are doing. In conclusion, I would like to quote the words of Aristotle saying, He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander." I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of this wonderful group of leaders, and I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for my wonderful family, my teachers, and my principal, Mrs. Jones.
And we'd like for the parents of Yasis, Lynette, and David, please stand. I'd like to thank you for your hard work, dedication, all you have done for Lorain City Schools. I'd like to award them certificates as well. David? Chairs with board members if possible. Our next presentation will be for the Avid. Mr. Ninemy.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to pass this out while I'm talking. That way you don't have to just hard copy of the PowerPoint. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming out. We are, as a district, are very excited about Avid because we are committed to getting our kids successful, helping them be successful. Did I just stand back here? I like to walk and talk. So what I did was I started to just do this huge presentation, but then I thought about it. It should probably come from the students. Okay, so I brought 3 of our leaders of Avid, and they're going to do the presentation. They're going to introduce themselves. I also want to recognize Mrs. Bastock, the principal of our 9th grade campus. Mrs. Bastock is very committed to the program, and we are very proud to be in her building. And I want to also thank the board members and Mr. Tucker, and I'm just glad all of you came out today. Avid team, come on up. And thank you, Dr. Hall. I got an assistant superintendent doing the slides for us. Okay.
Okay, my name is Abe Samara, and today I will be talking about Avid and what we do in school. So, welcome to the LHS Avid Classroom. You are about to embark upon an adventure that will prepare you for the future. Writing, inquiry, collaboration, and reading will help prepare the Avid student for a successful future. Welcome to class. Please open your binder. One important component of the Avid classroom in the binder. Organization, organization, organization. Organization is the key to school success. The purpose of the Avid binder to help students keep organized. In our Avid classes, we have different colored Cornell Note sheets for each class. Each class has its own section in the binder, and everything is organized according to date. This also allows us to find all notes and class handouts. The other part of the binder is the planner. The planner is the place to record all assignments. Using a planner teaches us the importance of writing down what is due and checking off when the assignments are completed. Today in Avid we have our tutorials. Tutorials are different than tutoring. Tutorials are led by students. 2 times a week, Avid students have tutorials. Students must fill out tutorial sheets. On these sheets, students must identify their point of confusion. Points of confusion. Students from the class go to the board and explain where the confusion comes from, and then help other students understand the confusing concept. Avid helps prepare students for college. In the college and career readiness class, this year we have an opportunity to earn 6 college credits. In this class, we learn different computer programs to improve our knowledge and computer skills, and we work in collaborative groups. Working collaborative groups teaches us cooperation and social skills.
My name is Shauna Oyola, parent night. This year we had 3 parent nights. Our first parent night was a meeting to learn about the Avid program and meet the Avid teachers. Our second parent night gave our parents information about PowerSchool and demonstrated how to assess student grades, and there was a computer giveaway. Our third parent night showcased the talents of our students. Avid wants to keep our parents informed about what is going on with the program. Learning coaches. The learning coach strategy was adapted to help students monitor their success. This is important because it is student-centered. After students pick their coaches come up with strategies to monitor student success. The Avid team has set up a Remind 101 system. A Remind 101 system is when you answer your email, it's this number they give you, and they send you reminders of like your work or stuff like that to your phone while you're at home, so you won't forget. They're going to remind you. This is to message students about tutoring. Teachers meet with their team to discuss strategies and make sure assignments are finished. Some coaches have developed weekly incentives for team members.
I'm going to interject real quick. Don't interject. This is very important, and Ms. Bastock really pushed this, the learning coaches. What we did was we got the students to identify the person that they identified with actually in the school, okay, to help them, whatever issue they may be having. If they need help with their grades, attendance, whatever the situation was, they can then identify, okay, there's Miss Bastock, and they say, hey, Jay, how you doing? How's everything going? How's your science class? How's your social studies class? So it's that extra support system that they had within the school. So that's very, very important that we've started, that we are very, very proud of.
We also do college visits. Another part of AVID is college visiting. This year we visited LCCC and have visits planned to the University of Akron and Ashland University. On our visits, we get to see the college campus, to talk to students and professors, and visit classrooms. One really neat experience was at Kent State University. At Kent State, a select group of 30 male students attended the second annual Male Initiative Conference. At this event, we got to meet Mr. Tim Story and Mr. Desmond Howard. Some of the things they talked about were:
hello, my name is Angel Mantilla, and I was a part of the MALE Initiative Conference. And Tim Story and Mr. Desmond Howard, what they showed us was how they, passed their goals to make, how they reached their goals to make it to Kent State, how they succeeded in their life, and how they are famous to this day. How you have to overcome certain things to reach those goals, never to give up, and to always stand tall to some things that you have to achieve.
outside agencies. AVID students also get support from outside agencies. Campus Impact helps create positive social climates in our schools. Each month, AVID students take a part in Campus Impact activities. These activities help inform us about real-life situations and help us make smart decisions. The BART program, which stands for Becoming a Responsible Teen, also presents to us once a month. In the BART program, some AVID students, are involved in the HPAC program. This program avoids support for 9th through 12th grades students interested in a career in the health profession. This program offers ACT and SAT support, mentoring, summer, and volunteer opportunities.
So someone might say, why do we need outside agencies in AVID? Why is that important? Well, first of all, we want to emphasize that it's not during their core classes. It's during their pre-college academic enrichment time. So most of us was in college, and you remember what happened when you went to college. They prepared you for the academics, but then there was that whole social culture, that social shock. It's like, oh my God. So we've got the outside agencies just to help them with that. In addition to your academics, this is what to expect when you come onto a large campus.
Classroom strategies. In the AVID classroom, you will find many different strategies used to help prepare students for the next level of learning. Next, we will review a few of the AVID strategies that are being used in our classrooms.
Welcome to the AVID classroom. Please take out your Cornell Notes. Today's date is March 17th, and our essential question is, how is AVID beneficial to students? The purpose of Cornell Notes is to allow students to make notes. After making notes, students then write questions that they have a point of confusion section, and after allow students to summarize the notes. This format of note making allows students easy reviewing and studying of notes. Philosophical chairs. In your Cornell Notes, write philosophical chairs. Philosophical chairs is a strategy used to allow students to voice their opinion about important issues. Students learn to provide claims, facts, and evidence for their beliefs. Learn to listen to others who may not agree with their decision or belief, and learn to create counterclaims. Students learn that argument is not just yelling back and forth at each other. Classroom strategies. Now, in our Avid notes, write classroom strategies. In the Avid classroom, teachers use many different strategies to help students retain information. One strategy is annotating text. When students annotate text, they become involved with the text. They begin to ask questions, begin to search for connections, develop notes directly on the text. Classroom strategies. A one-pager allows students what they have learned from a specific text. When completing a one-pager, students draw a picture representation of the text. They include important quotes that represent the main idea or theme, and they include other important words or details. Another strategy we use to summarize a story is the comic strip. By creating a comic strip with pictures and word bubbles, we can show our understanding of a text without writing a long essay. For students who struggle with writing, this presents an alternative for them to demonstrate their comprehension of a text.
One main purpose of AVID is to get students involved in their learning. Remember, no child is left behind.
Anything else? First of all, I'm extremely proud of them because it was 4 of them, and but they managed in 2 minutes to figure out what they were going to do. They're all doing different parts, and let's give it up for our avid students. Are there any questions for us? Okay.
Yeah. How many students participate in this?
Right now we have 125 students. And speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up, President Tim Williams. We have.
That's a dick. Oh, okay.
No. I think one important part that I think you guys will be very proud of is we have finished our AVID recruitment process for next year. Okay, and we did a very extensive process, interviewing process. You guys will be very proud of these students. These students are great too, but we really got some students that are excited about AVID. So, and that's about 160 students.
That's great.
Any other questions?
Question. What grade level can students join AVID? And is it just for a certain grade level?
Well, right now it's 9th grade, and then next year we'll be at 10th grade too.
So we'll build 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th
Yes.
over a 4-year period?
Yes. Yes, that's what we're pushing for.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hall.
Thank you, Dr. Hall, and all of you who participated. Is that Michelle? At this time, we would entertain our first hearing of the public. If there's any one of our guests who would like to address the board, this time we would offer that opportunity to you. No takers? It's about 3 meetings in a row, huh? This time I have a motion to approve or amend the signed minutes of the special board meeting held on Thursday, February 20th.
Motion to approve. Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Vallis?
Oh, I'll just abstain since I was not here.
Right.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. Any old business, gentlemen?
No old business.
At this time, we would entertain a recommendation and report of the treasurer. Mr. Weber, please.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. I have 6 items on the agenda this evening. The first item is the standard reports for February 2014. Our general fund balance at the end of February was $8,824,854, and we still have yet to receive the final real estate tax settlements. We're probably a week or so away from getting that information to see where we are for the year for tax settlements. Number 2 is the standard purchase orders needing some board approvals. Item 3 is the what's called the GAAP financial statements from our accounting firm called Lorain Associates. We have to convert our cash statements to modified accrual statements every year. It's a 3-year contract. Item 4 is inventory management contract, also with Lorain Associates. We inventory needs some management to get some incorporation into our financial statements, and they'll help us with that at a lower cost than before. Item 5 is a meter investment contract, which is our investment company helping us with our construction project. Item 6 are donations. So I offer for approval items 1 through 6.
Motion. Go ahead.
Motion to approve items 1 through 6.
Support. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
I have one more thing. My executive secretary, Doreen Reith, is going to retire. Announce retirement effective May 1st. And we're all going to miss Doreen. I want to miss Doreen very, very much. I have a little certificate of appreciation for her. It says, certificate of appreciation. This certificate is presented to Doreen Reith in recognition of your 30 years of dedicated and diligent service to Lorain City Schools, its board, and the community it serves. And it's signed by Superintendent Tucker and myself. And you can put this in the minutes. It's a permanent record, correct?
It's in her permanent record.
Can we somehow extend the contract so that she can keep doing this until at least,
Well, at least bring the water in the can.
Yeah. I mean, because I gave Jim's candy away, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr.
President.
But we are just so thankful for what you do, all those signatures that you make us sign. And it's going to be really interesting because for all of us, we've never been here without you. So thank you for the work that you've done. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Doreen. We'll miss you.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thanks, Doreen.
You notice I didn't clap because I don't want you to go, okay? But I know it's not going to stop anything, but I know that you're going to enjoy retirement, so.
I certainly want to thank you as well, and this table's not going to be the same without you. And I know Dale Weber's definitely not going to be the same without you.
What Doreen does not know is a clause in her contract that says she cannot leave till my office is cleaned up.
And she'll be here for a long time.
You're going to be here longer than us.
You were here before us. You will be here when we're gone, Doreen.
I can show her how to do that.
I thought Lyle Troyer was bad, but you surpassed his.
That's all I have. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
At this time, we would entertain the report and recommendation of the board.
Okay, I got a number of reports tonight. First and foremost, which everyone's, especially out in TV land, is watching, is Calamity Days. Last week, the legislature finally, after many tries, came up with a compromise, and I believe it was signed by the governor today, I believe. But the law states that we get 5 days, which we always had in law. We are at day number 9, and we have one school that didn't have water is at day number 10. And the law stated, the legislature passed, that you have to make up the 4 days after the 5, and then when you hit that day after that, those 9, then you get 4 more days. So that means we have to make up 4 days. On our original calendar, which means Johannes, that got the extra day, they don't have to make their day up. But that's the wisdom of our legislation. What we have, there's a lot of factors. Every year, the calendar, you have to put calamity days and what they call contingency days on the calendar. They've been there for decades. Nobody ever paid attention to them until this year. And our contingency days were basically our spring break. And because it took the legislature so long, we're 3 weeks or 4 weeks out from our spring break. So we had a conversation with our employees, and the legislature did allow us to do some other things. So we've come up with a tentative agreement of how we're going to do this, and we should formalize it, and everybody will know within a couple days, and hopefully the Journal will publish it, and we'll have it on our website. What we're going to do is we currently have one day, May 20th, which is an in-service day for teachers only. We're going to move that back to a student day. We're going to move that back to a student day, so that'll be one day. That leaves 3 days left. To make up those days, what we're going to do is, and a lot of parents will probably like this, starting after spring break, which is April 14th, 15th, something like that after. We're going to extend the day 30 minutes until we hit 30 school days, and that equals enough for the other 3 days. So that, however long that would take, it'll be sometime in May. All that's going to do is just the students will leave 30 minutes later on the bus, and we'll make up our days. It will preserve the Records Day, it'll preserve the holidays, and it will be probably the least disruptive to everyone. A couple other districts in the area are doing the same thing, adding to the day. As soon as we get all those details out, pretty much what it'll be is if your student gets on the bus at 2:30 and gets home at 3:05, now it'll be they'll get on the bus at 3 o'clock and they'll get home at 3:35. So there will be some adjustments with Boys and Girls Club and some other after school programming. But we feel that's the best we're going to do, and hopefully we'll make the best of where we're at. Any questions on that?
Yes. In terms of the learning process, an extra half an hour, how does that work with the curriculum, with the learning and the achievement? I mean,
Actually, it'll be pretty easy. Like at the high school, they'll add 5 minutes on a period, which students probably won't even notice, but it gets 30 minutes. The elementary, they'll have different variations on that, but that will be. Adding days will now, if we had to add days, it would add cost to this district, because we would have to be paying some of our hourly employees for those days. There'll be some limited cost here, but not because then we'd have to run buses extra days and a whole lot of other things. And you say, well, you didn't run them on the calamity days. Yeah, but we had the heat up because we didn't want pipes to freeze. So as far as the learning process, it'll extend the day, and it's actually right before OAAs, which will be pretty good.
Good. Any other questions, gentlemen? Thank you.
No, I just want to say that watching the legislature create a calamity by correcting a so-called calamity proves beyond the shadow of a doubt that a camel is really a horse designed by the Ohio legislature. If you don't get that, why, you just think about it for a while, their principle. I thought it was supposed to relieve the problem, wasn't it?
It definitely created some. Then all districts are struggling with how to do this. There are districts in southern Ohio that have 17 and 18 days. I was at a meeting in Columbus Friday, and one district there had 19 days.
Wow. Yeah, we were lucky.
Good luck.
Yep. And we're still not done with this winter. I mean, some of us that are old remember days in April where we've had some, but now we don't have to make them up. So
We actually need one more day.
I hope not. I'm looking for spring.
Might be beneficial.
You know, baseball season starts here real soon.
3 more days in spring.
A couple of things that have come recently that the board needs to know. Our staff has done a lot of due diligence in making all our reports and all our ODE compliance reports, and of course the audits come through very clean. We got our special ed report for the year where they come in and they take a look at things, and I'd like Jane Hawks to make that report, because this is wonderful. This is where they check on all our compliance and where we are.
Hello, good evening. The special ed profile was released on Friday. I debated whether I should open it or not at 4:20. What kind of a weekend was I going to have? But thankfully, it was a very good report, and I'm really pleased to report that we met an additional 5 indicators this year. The special ed profile is kind of like our district report card, but it's geared specifically for special ed requirements. We met an additional 3 preschool indicators showing growth on behavior, social emotional skills, and early literacy skills, which is all measured through the ODE required preschool assessments, like Get It, Got It, Go, and ECHO, they're called, kind of like OAAs for preschool. So we met those targets. That's the first time we've hit those growth indicators in preschool. We also increased our, well, actually I should say we decreased and met our dropout rate for special education students. We've shown a 13% reduction in dropouts of our special needs children since 2011 up till this year. The target for the dropout rate for the state is 12.5%, and we were at 6%. So we were well below that target and did a really good job there getting our special needs kids graduated from high school. We also met indicators in timelines and meeting all those requirements for special ed that are legally binding. These are really hard indicators to meet because the threshold is 100%. If you miss one thing by one day, by one little bit, you don't hit the indicator. And we met all of ours at 100%. So I have no corrective action plans to write. I'm a very happy person, and I'm very proud of my staff and the teachers and the building principals that make all of this happen.
Good job.
This is big. We also got our report on our 21st century audit, and what they do is they come in, they take a look at things early in the year, and they go, we need to see some correction here, 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 and here, and that's our Boys and Girls Club and some of our after-school programming. And the report I just got on Friday was our office is pleased to report, and this is from the ODE also, that your CAP report, which is your 21st century blah, 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 corrective action plan, has been received by office. All deficiencies have been addressed. At this time, we're in compliance, and please note that we feel that the future programming remains reflective of these changes. So that's another very good one. Also, last Thursday, we got some information on our school lunch programs. And what we found out is Lorain Schools is ranked number 10 in the state in schools districts over 1,000 students with a 61% participation score, which is huge. Some of our buildings, Wilson was at 79%, which was number 6 in the state. Longfellow 76%, which was number 12 in the state. And we are one of the top when it comes to utilizing that program for our students. And this is something that we've worked real hard on, trying to get those foods and that available for our students. Jeff, do you want to follow up on anything on that? No. This is. I just want to show there's a whole lot of folks that are out there doing a lot of good work, whether it's in the cafeterias, the classrooms, or whatever. There are some reports from the state that we are starting to go forward. On that same note, the Second Harvest contacted me in February and said that they had some additional foods for our students. Our Boys and Girls Club have a backpack program where they pass out food for some of our younger students for the weekend and to assist their families. They came to us and they said, in addition to that, because we have a few sites that don't have Boys and Girls Club, that they have an additional 600 meals that we could send home to children. So Mr. Hawks and I met with Second Harvest, and we are distributing those. They come to us, and then we distribute them to the buildings, and they go in the children's backpack for the weekends. And we're targeting our K through second grade, first grade, K through first grade. So we're just expanding upon that program, and we're very thankful to Second Harvest that they've been able to do that for us. On the Business Advisory Council, the board members, Mr. Smith specifically, have been working real hard getting people to get that going. We've got a number of people committed to it, and we hope to have the first meeting sometime in April. And we attended a program in Cleveland last week for the Cleveland City Club, and it was Eric Gordon and the Cleveland Transformation Plan and a gentleman from Cincinnati as far as Cincinnati's plan, and they've done some major work in what they call wraparound services for schools with businesses working with that. We're going ahead with that, and it may not be that all schools get it at once because they're going a school at a time as there's interest, and that's what we'd like to approach them on in addition to the strategic plan. But I do want to say that the Business Advisory Council is getting real close. The other thing I'd like to mention is there's a number of months coming up that we honor. This is a Career Tech Workforce Development Month. If you've watched what the governor has done, he's really working towards programming for students to have alternative paths to education, have adults get into high school diplomas 22 to 30, and also taking career workforce or the tech ed and pushing it down into the junior high school. Last year, Mr. Moore came to me, and we've already started putting that back. Some of us are old. We remember shop class, industrial arts, and home ec in junior high, and then we took it out. Guess what? We're kind of going back to it to get students on the career path. That's a good thing. So we're already on the curve there, but we're working on getting that introductory things in the junior highs and expanding on that program. Another thing that we have is you have a brochure I gave you for training for board members if you're interested on value added. If you're interested in going, I'll be more than glad to go with you. What value added is it's the component of the test scores or of the vendor assessments tests that we're using, that the state has chosen to use for the other half of teacher evaluation. And it's also part of our state report card on whether the students have got a year's growth. It's a very, very interesting mathematical formula on how they come up with that. And if you are interested, the closest ones here are Ravenna, which is a long ways, or Bowling Green. It's an evening, but if you are interested, I'll go with you, and we can talk about that. The other thing is Mr. Bach over here talked me into, said he's been trying to do a show, a little introductory show for the district for a while. So he convinced me to do it. We're going to call it Soup Talk. I didn't pick the name. Somebody else did. Soup, S-U-P-E. I figured. And we've already you got it. And we've already had one show that we had, and it'll just be on our cable. And then there will be a website not a website, but an email where they can send questions or concerns to me. And the key to this is we're going to take it on site. So it isn't just going to be me all the time. It'll be me going to the buildings, talking with students, and showing the public exactly what's going on in our buildings, watching our students at work, talking to our teachers, talking to our principals. We're starting slow, and then we hope to grow it and do it on a monthly basis. But that's something that's coming, and people can look for that to send questions and that. And if it's not me answering it, it'll be one of the appropriate staff getting to that. The other thing is the clustering. We finished up with the surveys. We still have to tally the paper surveys, and we're going to be reviewing that and bringing that to you. It is a possibility that it may not happen this year. It may have to wait a year and do it next year, and I don't know how that'll impact art and music, but there's a lot of factors in play, which I'll do a full presentation once we get the whole survey back. We got quite a bit of response. We got a good response on the surveys on that. Any questions on any of those reports?
Is there an advantage to starting the clustering this year as opposed to next year?
Sooner we do it, the better. But there's a lot of other factors involved. What has to do with moving things, getting the information out. One thing that we have done here is we've always pulled the trigger quickly here. I am not a pull the trigger quickly. I want to go through all the processes in place, and there's a lot of things coming because with the high school opening on target, right, Jeff? Okay, just checking. As of today.
Good answer.
We're going to hear about the new lawsuit.
Good answer.
Oh, don't scare me. The bids, the people are picking up the bids. It's going well so far. But with that coming and the sixth graders going back to the junior highs and getting a junior high back on the south side of town, there's some timing things we want to talk through.
That would not happen until the high school opens.
Until the high school opens.
That wouldn't be part of the initial movement.
Would not be part of the initial movement. That is correct. That won't happen until the high school opens, projected fall of 16, right? Okay.
August 25th.
Another good answer.
Actually, it's 18th now. Okay. Personnel matters recommendations of the superintendent. Item 1, consider approval of discontinuances, certified staff A and B. I would like to point out Diane Conabear is leaving us to go to Polaris. She wants to move up into central office, and she got a student services job there, which is very, very good. I always encourage my folks to move on or to really go for a job, and a lot of us gave her recommendations. And she starts her position next year as a central office student services. And under B, of course, is Lorain is retiring. Item 2, consider of new appointments. A is just our tutors, as we do every year. B is, as you can see, the personal attendants, some cleaners, and some substitutes that we're hiring. Item 3 is a recall of a security officer. We've had some leave throughout the year, so we're recalling and adding to that, getting ready for next year and springtime. Item 4, leave of absences is listed, another large group. Item 5, these are people that get their salary adjustments by contract. They weren't on the last board agenda because they didn't have all their documentation to us. They were within the timelines, but we had to have the documentation from the colleges. Item 6 is supplemental contracts as listed for spring sports, both certified and non-certified. Item 7, these are the annual administrative contract approvals. A is LAA, and B is Administrative Limited. Everybody asked, these are annual contracts. Next year, this will change because next year we will be under the new law, which means they won't be due till June 1st as opposed to March 31st. So the law changes. So I ask approval of Personnel Matters A, items 1 through 7 as listed.
Motion to approve Personnel Matters items 1 through 7 in Section A.
Bill, do you want something taken away?
If we could item 7 be separated out so I could vote on the other 6?
Oh, yes. Then I ask for, I can do that. Approval of items 1 through 6.
Motion to approve items 1 through 6. Section A.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
As for approval of Personnel Matters A, item 7.
Motion to approve item 7.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Abstain.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill, you have to say why you abstained, sir.
My son's on that list. There would be a conflict of interest.
Okay, Operation Matters B. Item 8 is a contract with the Great Books Foundation, which is a 2A grant expenditure, and this is for instructional strategies for our gifted students for reading. Item 9, approval of a contract with All for Kids. This is a show that they're going to be using at Helen Steiner Rice, and it's a student activity item. Item 10 is Lorain Youth Baseball, and this is for the use of the field as listed there. Item 11, approval of the contract with RS Entertainment for use of the pipe yard. This is all part of our also rental for that. Item 12, entering a contract for Battelle with Kids. This is one of those things that we have to do for the new evaluations and everything for that. It is a race to the top expenditure this year. So I ask for approval of Operations Matters, items 8 through 12.
Motion to approve items 8 through 12.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fallis?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Other matters C, ask for approval of item 13 and item 14. This is the approval of the Adoptional National School Breakfast Week and adoption of the National Nutrition Month resolution. And item 15 in our annual quest to finish all the policies. We have a few more ready, and I think we have another policy meeting in a week, right? About a week, so we're working on those. So approval of items C, D, items 13, 14, and 15.
Motion to approve items 13, 14, and 15.
Support.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Fallis?
Support, yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And it's my report and recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. This time is entering new business for discussion, gentlemen. Committee reports, requests from board members.
Yes, I have a report on the legislative side of things. There were 103 bills under consideration in the General Assembly that would have some impact on school districts. They range from, yes, I heard that. He said that's nuts, but yes, he did. Yes. And they cover a lot of things from safety to, there's a bill before the Senate to allow off-site high school credit for religious instruction. There's a good thing out there that relates back to what Mr. Tucker said earlier, and that is bringing career tech to the 7th grade. There's also a bill in the House or the Senate, I don't remember which, that would give tax credits to businesses that establish internships for students to work. And That's great. So they range in along, and we'll keep you posted if they come out as actually being enacted. There are 8 bills that have been approved that have an impact on school districts. One of them, when Children's Services removes a child from the home, whether that child has been alleged to be abused, neglected, or is dependent, or has been adjudicated. That means a judge has ruled. That child is normally removed from the house, placed with either another family member or in foster care. This bill requires the transfer of student records from the resident district or the home district to the district in which the child now resides, which makes sense. Give you a little explanation on those 3 areas. Abuse could be sexual or physical abuse. Neglect is they're just not taking care of their kids. And I spent 12 years volunteering for a wonderful organization called Voices for Children, and was what's known as a guardian ad litem. I stood in court for those kids, and I saw some of the conditions they come from. It's a miracle that they grow up at all to be successful. And that story in the paper today, in the Chronicle, I believe it was it not, on the truant officers? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to understand what those kids are living in. And the last area, dependency, basically means they have nobody they can depend on. In other words, their parents aren't bad people, they just don't know how to be parents. And we're about on our 3rd generation of that problem. They just don't know how to parent. Probably they weren't in a home where parents had parenting skills. And he also gets to that, and he mentioned it earlier, in a report that our board members received today, if you've checked your email from the state. There's over 1 million people in Ohio that do not hold a high school diploma. And that number is growing by 24,000 per year. And it all goes into that same, we're seeing the outcome of years of that. So anyway, that's House Bill 14. House Bill 59 deals with the budget that was passed in July. House Bill 127, Tom mentioned it earlier, March has been named Career Tech and Workforce Development Month. House Bill 107, this is very interesting. And it doesn't affect us, but it could. It's the camel's nose is now in the tent. I don't know if you know the story, but on a cold desert night, the nomads felt bad for the camel and let the camel warm its nose in the tent, and 2 hours later, the camel was in the tent and the nomads were out. Well, this deals with school districts with 60,000 average daily membership or greater, districts like Cleveland. This now requires, when a levy is put on the ballot, property tax levy, it has to give the voters the opportunity to have those tax revenues shared with charter schools. Doesn't require them to be shared. It requires that the voter has the opportunity to vote for that. Well, no, it won't affect us today, but the camel's nose is in the tent. So HB 342, well, talk to your legislators then.
No, they don't understand education, so there's no sense talking to them folks.
HB 342 allows educational service centers to partner with school districts for grants from the Straight A Fund. Senate Bill 10 deals with the placement of polling places and voting machines, which does have an impact on schools because many times schools are polling places. Senate Bill 21 revises requirements for the third grade reading guarantee. I believe there are some alternatives now, other tests that can be taken. Is that right?
One of the newspapers did an article on that, and there's alternatives. Prior to this being passed, you had 2 shots to pass it, the fall and the spring. I am correct, right, Pam? Okay. And they realized that, in fact, I think I was quoted in the paper of saying, you're giving students 2 chances, and it could be bad days for them. Now there's other opportunities, and one of the opportunities is using the NWEA map test that this board purchased, and there's some other ways, alternatives that students can pass. And we will be utilizing all of those because we're really working real hard on that. And as soon as we get all the details out for the parents, because our OAAs are just around the corner. And as soon as the students take those, then we'll, if students need alternatives, then we'll take those opportunities.
And the last bill, which is Senate Bill 26, deals with head injuries that are received in athletic events that are school group sponsored. And again, we'll keep you posted as this, to see what the legislature does in the future. As far as committee report, the Bond Oversight Committee is meeting in this room at 5 p.m. this Thursday evening. It is a public meeting. And on a high note, I had the pleasure last Tuesday of accompanying some people my age, older people, as they distributed dictionaries to third graders. This is an initiative that Rotary Club, the Lorain Rotary Club, has done. And it was very interesting watching how the Rotarians interfaced with the third graders and how excited the third graders got with those dictionaries. And one of the first things the Rotarians told the kids is to open the book to the front cover where there would be a name sticker, and that they were to immediately write their names there because these would be their dictionaries forever. And then they went through and looked up various words. The one that they all got a big giggle out of, and I know, Bill, you can spell this without a doubt because you went to Lorain High, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. But it was really neat to see. I'd like to see, Tom, a lot more of community interfacing, because they all came out of those buildings impressed with the kids. It blew away all of the myths that sometimes we hear. So that was kind of an uplifting thing to watch those kids with those dictionaries. I don't know. Do you know how many years they've been doing that, Tommy?
Long decades.
So it was really nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other reports, gentlemen? This time we'd entertain our second hearing of the public. I know you guys have been waiting to get your opportunity to. Don't everybody jump up at once. Thank you. Announcement of our next. We will be going to an executive session. So the announcement of our next board meeting, Mr. Weber, is.
Well, April 7th is Monday, and it's the beginning of spring break, Mr. Tucker. Is that true?
I'm working.
So I'm not sure if the board wants to change that meeting date or not.
It's up to them if they can.
Up to the board. Yeah.
I'm in town. I'm here.
We're good, gentlemen? We're good.
Because I will not be here that week, but.
Yeah, so the next school board meeting will be April the 7th, 6:30 p.m. right here, unless otherwise notified. And we need a motion to go into executive session for item D, preparing for conducting or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment. And item G, confidential information related to marketing plans, specific business strategy, et cetera, et cetera. You may read the following. I need a motion.
To move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Demakia?
Yes.
Mr. Fellis?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes. And for the public information, we will not be returning with any decision-making items, and our executive session is here. So please leave our room. Get out!
This has been a production of Lorain City Schools TV 20 WLCS. To purchase a high-quality copy of the program you just viewed, please call Lorain City Schools Television at 282-8400.